Hey everybody, Miss Thompson here, and I am completing the equivalent ratios homework. What I'm going to do is show you two examples. For today, I'm going to be using example for number 6 and 10. So I'm going to show you how those examples are done. First, I'm going to get a little closer to number 6. All right. So what we're looking at is across the bottom, we're looking at the relationship between 48 and 12. So what do I multiply or divide to get from 48 to 12? Because remember, we have to have equivalent fractions. And so to keep these fractions equivalent, what I've got to do is either multiply or divide. So looking at this first number, 48, and then 12. What can I multiply or divide in order to get from 48 to 12? Well, the number's getting smaller. I'm moving from 48 down the number line to number 12. So what I'm going to be doing is looking at a division. How can I get from 48 to 12 by dividing? Well, I could divide by 4. Divide by 4 on the bottom, and of course, whatever I do to the bottom, I've got to do to the top. Now, the mystery is that there's 2 missing numbers here. So what I'm going to have to do is go from 12 to 96, see if I can't work a little bit backwards. So from 12, how will I get from 12 to 96? Well, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be multiplying because the number is going to get bigger. So when the number gets bigger, I'm going to be multiplying. When the number is getting smaller, I'm going to be dividing to get to your next number. So what can I multiply 12 by to get to 96? Well, I can multiply 12 times 8, and that will be 96. So I'm going to multiply 8 here. So now I've got to take a look back at, I've multiplied by 8 here, so which means I have to take this number and multiply by 8. Well, I don't know what this number is, so when I think about the opposite operation, I'm going to go from 152 and I'm going to divide by 8 to get 19. Now we're starting to fill in the blanks. So from 19, I know that I have to go to a bigger number here. So the opposite operation from division is multiplication. I divided down here, so from 19 to get to this mystery number, I'm going to have to multiply by 4. And that's going to give me 76. Now I've got one more mystery number here. So now I've got to look at the relationship between 152 and 133. How can I get from 152 to 133? That's going to be a tricky one. So what I'm going to do is work out over here in the side. How am I going to get from 152 to 133, by multiplying or dividing? Well, I'm going to have to divide because I'm going from a larger number to a smaller number. But the question is, divide by what? So if I was going to write an equation for that, I would do 152 divided by something is going to equal 133. So this x, this mystery number right here, I know that the number is going to be all pretty small. And so I could think about what I could multiply 133 by in order to get to 152. If I multiply by 1, that gives me 133. If I multiply by 2, that's 266. That's too much. So I'm looking for a number somewhere in between 133 and 152. So how can I figure this out easily? Well, I could probably multiply I could probably do, I'm sorry, multiply 133 by 1. Let's just try 1.5. And I'd get 199.50. Too much. So it's less than 1.5. How else could I figure this out? I could just guess and check, guess and check, guess and check, guess and check. Or I could take 152 and divide by 133, and that's going to give me 1.14. Let's see if that number's going to work. So let's just take it and go back. 133 times 1 and 1400ths, and that's going to give me 152. So which means I have to take this 96 and divide by 1 and 1400ths. 96 divided by 1 and 1400ths is 84. We're just going to round up a little bit. Okay, so that's number 6. Let's skip down to number 10. This one's even a bigger mystery, so he's got a lot more blanks here. So what we do have is information in the end right here. Take a look at the whole thing. We've got 3 and 2. So if we were going to look at it, we could, if we wanted to, make this a unit rate. So our unit rate is 1 and 5/10 over 1, which makes it easy because now we can take this unit rate. We would take our 1 times 10, that would give us 10, and then a 1 and 5/10 times 10, and that would give us 15. We could also take our 1 and 5/10, and we can multiply that by 18, because we're going to be, that's our unit rate. And then we're going, our 1 and 5/10, we could multiply this 1 times the 4, because let's just do the things that we've got, information that we have already. So 1 times 4, that's going to give us 4. And we'd also get the 1 and 5/10 times 4, and that gives us 6. Now, we look at just the relationship between 6 and 18. How do we get from 6 to 18 by multiplying or dividing? My number is getting bigger in the second box, so I know that I have to multiply something. And 6 times 3 is 18. So we'd have to multiply 4, oops, no, my paper's moving around, times 3 to get 12 on the bottom here. So that's our completed number 10. So we've got a completed number 6 and a completed number 10. Let's see if we can go back a little bit. Let's do a number 4, and I'm going to give you less hints this time. All right, so I'm going from this first number, 16, and I'm going down the number line, which means I'm going to have to divide something. How can I get from 16 to 12 by dividing? That's a mystery right there. How can we figure that out? Let's go from 16 and we'll divide by 12, and we're going to get 1.33. Let's see if that works for us. So if we divided to go to the right, we're going to multiply to go to the left, because our number over here is going to be smaller than our first number. So we're going to take 90 and we're going to multiply by 1 and 33/100ths. We're just going to round a little bit to 120. Sorry, this paper keeps moving around. All right, So now I've got to get from 90 to 15. How can I get from 90 to 15? Well, 90 divided by 6 is 15. Oops, divided by 6. Which means I've got to take the 12 and I've got to divide that by 6. When I take 12 divided by 6, I'm going to have a 2 right in here. Now how do I get from 2 to 14 multiplying or dividing? Well, I know I'm going to have to multiply something because my number is going to get bigger here. So I'm going to be multiplying by 7 here at the bottom, which means I also multiply by 7 at the top. And when I do that, I'm going to get 105. So you've got 4, that one's done. 6, that one's done. And now we've got number 10, that one's done. So I've just done half of these problems that you had for homework. I hope that you've been following along. And I will see you tomorrow.